In this episode, we are going to discuss the 1948 Friars abduction case. This case is quite interesting and has some aspects that remind me of modern-day alien abduction experiences. So let's begin our story today. Our incredible story began in December 1990 when we received a letter written by a missionary friar, Father Giuseppe Madau, then operating in Zambia. Here is the text of that letter. Dear sirs, I discovered your organization casually after having bought a book written by Mr. Pinati. I have seen UFOs twice in my life. The first time was on a day of September in 1948. I was raised from the ground with a dog. I was only 18 and didn't know at all that something like that could exist, nor hoped it could happen to me. The second time in 1974 at 7 a.m., while I was flying over Zambia and was getting ready to land, I saw from the plane a silver-colored object, probably a UFO, flying exactly parallel to my plane. I wrote to you after so many years since my first case is very complex, and there is a strange phrase I would like to understand with your help. I am a 60-year-old friar. I live in a mission in Zambia where I am about to return on January 29th, 1991. I was born in Sardinia and have always lived according to my vocation. A second letter followed shortly after, giving us more details about the first experience, which seems to forerun today's abductees' accounts. Madau told us about a bell-shaped UFO with a transparent dome which he had seen coming down from the sky and stopping at trees' height. Two tall, beautiful beings dressed with a silver uniform had come out, standing on the disc platform, and with gestures had invited him to approach the craft. He had hesitated, so the beings had got back into the saucer, which had suddenly disappeared after having shot a strange beam of light. Madau remembered of having felt himself no more on the ground, but unconsciously floating in the air. He depicted this state as the one you live between sleep and awakening, except for an annoying buzz in his head which was relentlessly going on, getting quite painful. He felt like paralyzed. Then had heard what seemed to be accelerated voices talking with each other, apparently discussing of him, till a beautiful woman voice had interrupted that talking. Through a careful hypnosis treatment, this is the story he told me. It happened in the Franciscan convent of Oristano on the west coast of Sardinia on September 13th, 1948, at 19 hours, with excellent light conditions as typical of that area. The 18-year-old Giuseppe Madau, then a seminarist, was walking in the convent garden, preaching, getting ready for the coming vows. He had to take to become a friar. An old dog, almost blind, was following him along a small path. Madau was saying the Ave Maria, stopping every now and then and looking up at the sky when suddenly he saw something coming down towards him, getting larger and larger. The tale in a few seconds. I saw something weird, absolutely silent, something I had never seen nor ever heard of before. Initially, the thing didn't proceed parallel to the ground, but rather slantwise, so that once it had arrived at the top of the convent's roof, I could clearly distinguish its shape, a silver disc resembling a bell. Its dome was transparent and seemed to be plastic-made, for I could clearly get the presence inside of two white men. The disc stopped, positioning itself at the same height of an eucalyptal tree, that is at about 12 meters from the ground. At the same time, I heard voices coming from the town saying, "The light is out." They went on repeating. The two beings then came outside of the dome and stood on the outer platform. They were beautiful, more than 2 meters tall, and waved at me with noble gestures. I replied. They invited me to come under the disc, but I dropped their proposal, thinking that if I had accepted it, they would have taken me away with them, and I would have never become a friar. When they realized that I was not going to follow them, they got back into the craft, which then laid itself sideways, showing its lower side. That was when I first saw a large black hole in the center and kind of a belt along its outer circumference that started moving first jerkily, then faster and faster with a metallic sound similar to that produced by a chain rolling along a toothed wheel. All of the sudden the sound ceased, and the disc positioned itself again parallel to the ground and started emitting strange beams of light from the large black opening, which were apparently solid. These light sections were independent from one another and varied from violet, turning into blue, then green, yellow, orange, red. This is the color sequence of the light spectrum, and ended in a colorless block. I had the impression that each section pushed the following one downwards. The disc suddenly vanished from my sight, and I started feeling something like an insisting electric sound, like whoosh, 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 which I didn't get through my ears, but felt in the upper side of my brain. Suddenly I lost consciousness and felt myself light, very light, extremely light, floating weightless in the air. I didn't see what was happening to the dog. Maybe the object was still hovering over me, but I couldn't see it anymore. From then on, that strange sound turned into a tangible sensation, and I felt something like electric fingers ransacking into my brain, particularly insisting on its left side. Initially, it was like a tickle, but soon afterwards it got more and more painful. This made me fear that they wanted to take me away with them, so I started imploring the Madonna with the words, "Please help me." It was then that a mysterious woman's voice echoed in my mind, saying to someone apparently with little conviction, "Just leave him alone." The answer was given by an indistinct riddle of extremely accelerated voices, similar to the sound produced by a register's tape going at highest speed. The strange conversation went on for a little while as I kept imploring the Madonna's help till the mysterious woman's voice commanded, "That's enough, let him go." The annoying sensation in my brain stopped, and I felt I was descending slowly till when I perceived that I had hit the ground with my heels. It was then that I finally opened my eyes again, and looking up at my left I saw the dog still hovering in the air. His muzzle was stretched upwards, the rest of his body crouched in a typical fetal-like position. Then it started descending too. When he got close to the ground, he suddenly fell, and once he got up, fled away scared. I looked around and saw that the spot I touched with my feet wasn't the path I was walking along, praying before that incredible experience, but a nearby sentry. But what most of all surprised me was the fact that meanwhile it had gotten dark. I couldn't tell how long that experience had lasted. Meanwhile, I heard voices coming from the nearby town center saying the light is back again. As deeply confused, I was making my way to the convent. I had the distinct feeling that someone had made a sewing inside my head, an implant. When I met my roommates and tried to get them acquainted with what had happened to me, they silenced me abruptly, saying, "Shut up, you foolish, don't talk nonsense." From then on, for many years, I decided not to mention that incredible experience to anyone, no matter how often I used to quail and fret myself, trying to understand it. As you can see, this case has a lot of common elements with modern-day alien abduction stories. There are even similarities to the Betty and Barney Hill case. For example, in both cases, the abductees describe the aliens as tall and slender with large heads. In both cases, the abductees are unable to recall parts of the experience and feel that something has been implanted in their brain. We have not yet managed to verify all of Madau's claims, such as the existence of the dog, or the fact that the sky was clear when he saw the object. However, we do know that he was not lying about the date. His story was corroborated by a friar who lived in the same monastery. Father Giuseppe confirmed that Madau had returned from a walk with the dog, missing and shaken. Furthermore, the color sequence he described corresponds to the visible spectrum. This leads me to believe that Madau was telling the truth about what he experienced that night. What do you think about this case? Do you believe that Madau really had an encounter with aliens? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to learn more about similar cases, I invite you to watch another video that I made about a priest who was abducted by aliens while performing a ritual. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to share this video with your friends. I hope to see you next time.